Every team has goals, but only a few actually hit them. You've seen it. Kickoff meetings full of energy, slides full of strategy, and 6 months later, everyone's still reacting instead of executing. The problem isn't ambition, it's the absence of systems. Because strategy gives you direction, but systems, that's how leaders create momentum. Today, I'm breaking down how you can turn goals into reality by building systems that turn your intention into execution. Because having a team that executes is the game every leader has to master. Let's dive in. I once worked with a team that had no shortage of ideas. They had a good strategy, their goals were clear, but when it came to execution, everything fell apart. Every quarter started with new plans, but ended with the same challenges: misalignment, projects that lost momentum, and goals they never hit. The problem wasn't effort. It was a lack of discipline to manage through the noise. They didn't need a new strategy, they needed a system, something that connected what they wanted to accomplish with what actually got done. Once we defined that structure and cadence, everything started to move forward. Their goals turned into action, and their actions turned into results. That sounds like a simple shift, but it requires discipline to make it work. Let me frame out 4 things that you can do to create a system that works for you. First, build an implementation roadmap. What do I mean by that? For the sake of this discussion, I'm going to trust that you have a good strategy. But having a good strategy doesn't mean it actually gets executed. You, the leader, need a structure, an execution roadmap that distributes who's going to own what. That means defining how decisions get made, who is responsible for what, and the outcomes you are expecting at each stage. That sounds like common sense, but it's been my experience that common sense isn't always common practice. What decisions stay at your level? Which ones do you trust others to make? And have you communicated that to them? What is their level of authority to act without you? What does success look like? Without taking the time to frame out the basics, even the best strategies will never come to life. One senior leader I coached had a brilliant strategy, but he spent half his week untangling disconnects between the departments that he oversaw. His team was busy, but not aligned. So the first thing I did was help him design an operating rhythm, linking quarterly goals to monthly commitments to weekly scorecards. Once we did that, alignment across his team went to a whole new level. People knew what they owned, they were empowered to make decisions, and most importantly, they were held accountable for the outcomes that were predefined. That's how leaders turn plans into progress. My advice for you is don't just share your strategy. You have to engineer how it gets executed. Take the time to do this, and trust me, you will thank me for it. Next, create feedback loops. See, most leaders treat goals like one-time events. They set them, they proudly announce them, and then they disappear, like never to speak of them until the end of the quarter. That, my friends, is the fastest path to frustration. High-performing leaders don't set and forget. They build tight feedback cycles that keep everyone aligned and on the same page. Here's a couple of recommendations. Create a simple execution cadence. Short, consistent check-ins, not to rehash status updates, but to recalibrate priorities. This is your opportunity to review, realign, and remove obstacles. Then you got to track, measure, and monitor what matters most. You need a dashboard to track progress. And when you do, don't just review outcomes, review the behaviors that drive those outcomes. When you provide coaching on behaviors that drive outcomes, your team will buy into the concept of dashboards because they now see them as a tool to help them execute versus a scoreboard they have to defend. Adapt fast. Teach your team to adapt in real time. See, small corrections made weekly prevent major course corrections later. Again, this takes time, but it buys you back time in the long run. Leaders who have a powerful feedback loop don't need to chase status updates. Why? Because it happens naturally. Next, delegate ownership, not tasks. Most leaders delegate tasks. Great leaders empower thinking. If every decision has to run through you, you don't have a strategy problem, you have a trust problem. Delegate responsibility and then empower your team to make decisions. To do that effectively, you have to set context, not give instructions. You got to explain why something matters, not just what to do. Context gives people room to make decisions without constantly checking in with yourself. You also have to define outcomes. Ownership without the clarity of an outcome is a formula for failure. You got to make sure your team knows what success looks like and how it's going to be measured. That clarity is invaluable. And you got to also coach your team. When someone makes a mistake or falls short on something, use it as a teaching moment. Coach them, stretch their thinking, challenge them to look at things differently. Coach them the way you would want to be coached. When people feel trusted to think, not just execute, they rise to the occasion. Again, sounds simple, but trust me, a lot of leaders don't do this, right? They don't do what I outlined. And if they did, having teams who execute wouldn't be a problem. Lastly, manage your team's focus and energy. The best strategies don't fail because of bad ideas. They fail because their teams aren't focused. Everyone has a limited amount of energy, attention, and capacity. Protecting those resources isn't a nice to have. It's your job. Ask yourself, what truly moves the needle this week? What noise can we eliminate so we can focus on the things that matter most? Teach your team how to protect their time, their focus, and their energy. If you need help, reach out. We have leadership programs that do just that. Sustained performance isn't built by doing more. It's built by protecting what matters most. Here's the truth. Goals don't become reality because you grind harder. They become reality because you built a system that manages progress. That's how leaders scale impact. That's how you turn goals into results. That's how growth champions are built throughout your business. If you're ready to elevate your leadership, brand, influence, and impact, I've got something for you. Download my free ebook, The CEO Shift. Empower your leaders to think like entrepreneurs and lead like owners. Inside, I'll walk you through how to elevate your leadership, how to drive alignment, and how to build a high-performance team that owns the mission. If you're not quite ready for that level yet, then let me send you a signed copy of my book, Freedom to Experiment. It's all about how to reignite both you and your team's energy, sharpen focus, and build unstoppable momentum. The book is free. All I ask is for you to cover shipping. Hit the link in the description and we'll take care of the rest. Okay, if today's message hit home, here's how you can help others find it too. Give this video a like, drop a comment below related to your business. Maybe like, what's one system you need to strengthen to turn strategy into measurable results, or something like that. And of course, subscribe, because every week I share strategies to help you and your team embrace change, focus your effort, and accelerate results. Remember this, you're just one idea away. Talk to you soon.